Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, howdy, hey, everybody, and welcome back to an all-new episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everyone? I hope you're still enjoying your summer, and I know I certainly have. It's been going pretty nicely on my end, may I say. And I will say, though, actually, before anything, I do understand that it's been rather rough for music fans out there, especially with the fall of many music legends out there. And when I say fall, actually, I mean more the passing of not one, but several music legends, which includes Ozzy Osbourne, Chuck Mangione, and just recently, Tom Lehrer have all been announced that they have passed away for one reason or another, which is very unfortunate. And especially like with some cases, like, yeah, you got Tom Lehrer who passed away at a very old age. He definitely lived a good, long, and fulfilling life. But then you have Ozzy Osbourne, whom I feel like he sadly left us a little bit too soon, especially when it was only a few weeks ago that he reunited with his Black Sabbath crew and made a major charity event that was very successful. So the dude went out with a bang. So it's sad to hear that all of these people are no longer with us. But then again, on the bright side, Hulk Hogan did pass away, and I mean, hey, that'll cheer anybody up, the fact that a dead race, that there is a racist who is dead. So, at least, like, you win some, you take some, you gotta have things that'll balance it out. But then again, I do understand, like, it's not enough for one dead racist in compensation for, like, 3 beloved music legends that are gone. So, like, I do understand there is a bit of that unfairness. But I mean, like, life can be unpredictable and life can be unfair at times. So, I mean, it's really a matter of just, you got to work with what you got, sadly. So, with that said, though, now that I got that little message out of the way, we still have a heck of an episode to go through, and boy, do we have something fun for you all. Yes, we got a bunch of major animation news, especially with the fact that, considering that the San Diego Comic-Con recently occurred, we will talk about that in the end. But there's still a lot of major animation things going on, and I cannot wait to go and share with you all here. So with that said, now I would like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? All right, let's see now. Yes, people are ready. Okay, I see. People are, there's also Malcolm Jamal Warner. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about him as well. Yeah, he also passed away recently. And considering that I remembered him as the voice of the producer in the Magic School Bus, that was one where it's like everybody talked about him as the guy from The Cosby Show. But then when I heard him as like the Magic School Bus producer, I was there like, oh man, I like that guy. Aw. But anyways, yes, I do see people are prepared. That is great to see. And now, without further ado, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that I have for you today, we are going to, of course, begin with a trailer. And as you can imagine, with Comic-Con, there's been a whole bunch of trailers that have been released. However, I'm not going to be checking on any of them. Instead, what I will be looking into is actually a trailer that just came out today. One that honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it, but then I actually looked at it and yeah, let's just say there are some things that we do have to discuss over here. So without further ado, let's go and begin with our first story, as we are going to go and take a look at the trailer for the upcoming blockbuster, Avatar: Fire and Ash. And that is Avatar: Fire and Ash Ketchum, to which it will be coming to Peloton on December 19th. Now, there is honestly something that I do have to say so far when it comes to this Avatar franchise. And I have to say this one, just to not confuse it with Avatar: The Last Airbender. And, to be honest, like I've already talked about how I've seen the first Avatar movie a bunch of times, and honestly, I don't really care that much for it. I mean, it's visually splendid, but the story, it's like, it's a bit of a lackluster right there. I mean, it's kind of like your typical Pocahontas, West Side Story type of tale, along with like the big environmental message. So maybe like leaning in a little bit more on like Pocahontas, space blue cat Pocahontas, if you will, as some people have referred to. And also, when it comes to The Way of Water, to be very honest, I don't really know. Believe it or not, even though it was a major hit when it came out back in like 2022, I believe, I have yet to actually see it myself. Maybe I should, but I mean, considering that I don't really care a whole lot about Avatar, I just never really had the time to do so. If anything, like my most recent interaction with Avatar, it was my last trip to Walt Disney World back in 2023, where I actually checked out the Avatar section in Disney's Animal Kingdom, Pandora, if you will. And I mean, it looks absolutely stunning. And the rides were fantastic as well. They were great to experience. So yeah, I will say, I guess I'm not really that much of an Avatar fan. I don't hate it. It's just, I don't necessarily care that much for it. So when I saw the trailer of Avatar: Fire and Ash today, honestly, like, because I didn't have much of the context of Avatar: The Way of Water, like, I don't really recognize any of the characters. Like, at the most, like, I can recognize, oh, you're that one from The Way of Water. Oh, yeah, you're, like, the kids of the main character of the first. Okay, I can recognize their physical appearance, but other than that, I don't really know anything about, like, the dynamic. So when they do see the things like the drama of what is going on, or like the implications of what is currently happening, especially with the relationship between the Na'vi and the humans, especially when you still see there is kind of that dynamic that's still going on. Honestly, a lot of that is just, it just went through my head. And from what I've heard about it, like, I don't know if that really is true because I haven't really seen it myself. The second movie, The Way of Water, in terms of that story, that's another one where it's like the story doesn't really matter that much, or any of the character development. So it's like, I don't know if it really is something that I'm missing out in terms of the narrative of Avatar with what they are delivering. Now, with that said, though, do I feel empty when I watch this trailer in particular? Honestly, no. Because if there is one thing about this Avatar franchise, the reason why it is still massively strong, it's in regards to the visuals and the world building. That is something that nobody, I believe, can deny, that it is able to pull off beautifully well. And like I said, that's like the big reason why the Avatar franchise is still going strong, is because of that immersive world building, and that it not only works in those movies, but also when adapting it to Walt Disney World. I mean, they're like, not to mention that, like, not only is there the one in Animal Kingdom right now, but that is also part of the reason why they're also expanding it to Disneyland, where they are going to have their Avatar section as well. And just looking back and seeing the visuals that they would go and create, like one thing I gotta say that really struck me in awe is is this part right over here, where we see these these aircrafts, like basically these flying ships with these like manta rays that are holding on to them, just flying around, and like these fleshy veils that's similar to the dragons that they are flying on. It honestly reminds me a little bit, kind of like those flying scenes in Treasure Planet in a way, that you're immersed in this new sci-fi world, being introduced to like these strange creatures that are beyond what we find on Earth. And just traveling along in this way, it really is mesmerizing. Like this shot right here, like honestly really caught my attention. It looks great. And not to mention, especially with the fact that this is Fire and Ash, now we are starting to see the new types of avatars that are coming in. So like when we first meet these like the fire version of the avatars, I gotta say, they do have a bit of an interesting design. Not to mention that it's kind of funny to see how like they actually did find a way to make the Na'vi look lankier than they have before. Like even with these ones, like already the Na'vi designs, like they're pretty lanky, especially with their long limbs and stuff like that. But like in here now, they add some extra skinniness to them with their designs, and to make it as a way where they would be a lot more distinct from the other types of Na'vi out there. And this is not even to mention with the theme of fire, where as you can see, their skin is a lot more ashy. And another part that I gotta say is actually pretty cool. I don't know if it's like immediately afterwards or something, but you see like their ability with fire, where they're able to go and possess it. Hold on, I'm starting to feel something. Oh, excuse me. That was a cough, so I just need to let that out. But anyways, yeah, there was one little moment, like it just went by quickly, but you see them like collecting the fire and just like playing around with it, which is awesome. And this is not to mention, of course, as an Avatar movie, by the end of the trailer, you get all these like cool fight scenes that are going on, like just seeing the action and like a little bit of the war that's going on between the regular Na'vi and the Ashy Na'vi, or I don't know what they're going to be called, Fire Na'vis, Ash Na'vis, and who knows. But yeah, like you like there's a lot of these fantastic shots that they do show. Oh, this is the one that I'm talking. Yeah, that was the one that I was talking about here. Like their ability of playing with fire. So as you see here, like just, like they're just collecting them in their fingertips, like, making their fingers like little candles. So it's honestly going to be very fascinating to go and check out what kind of special abilities that they are going to bring. And this is not even to mention like the continuation of the relationship between the Na'vi and the humans, especially like when you got this part over here. Like, yeah, they got to save the one human guy with them. And like right over here, like one Na'vi just got caught. And then you see like a crowd of humans that are just on the side over here. And then like, of course, like you also got this beautiful shot like of, you got a Na'vi flying one of the dragons in front of the planet. Like it is a beautiful shot. It really is one of those movies. It's like, you pause at whatever frame and you just got to admire like the visual effects and the cinematography that is implemented in there. And I mean, I'm already seeing people already talking about how this has the best visuals of the year already, that this is already a very strong contender for best visual effects during award season like the Oscars. And honestly, I don't blame them. I can understand why. Because what we see here, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Honestly, like I have nothing but praise with what we are seeing here with all of these shots, like with the visual effects, with how they're building the Na'vi, with how they're expanding the world. Like, honestly, I feel like for fans of the Avatar movies, they're going to get what they wish for here. Like, if you want to go in and just be fully immersed by the visuals, by the world that they have created, if you want to really explore Pandora, then yeah, I think this is really going to sell it to people, and this is going to be another tremendous hit for the franchise. But when it comes to like the story and the character development and how things are going to be with some of the cast in there, honestly, I have no freaking clue, because I don't really care much about them in the first movie. I haven't seen the second one, so I cannot comment on that. And what's going on in here, I guess something is happening. So, with all that said and done, that's just my thoughts that I want to go and express. So really, this is all to say that I really do admire the craftsmanship of the visuals in with what we are seeing so far with Fire and Ash. So if you guys are excited to go and check out the third Avatar movie, then keep in mind that it is going to be coming out around the end of this year on December 19th. And by the way, before I continue, I just want to go and double check. Okay, I made sure of it, so we're all good. Anyways, you'll understand what I mean a little later. Now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to know, what did you all think of this trailer of Avatar Fire and Ash? Did you guys enjoy the movie? Or not enjoy the movie? Did you guys enjoy the trailer? Are you excited for this? Are you a little bit iffy about it, or do you just not care at all? Let me know what you think. And actually, I'm going to go and write down a poll to go and ask you all a little question. Let's go and make things interesting. Will you be watching Avatar 3? So I'm now going to go and ask, are you guys going to be planning to go and see this movie? So yes, and now let's write down no. And now let's see what the chat has to say about this. All right. Please don't hate me for saying this, but this is a major pass for me. I get it's for the visuals and world building is something unique, but I'm on the same page as you, except I see it more like Genndy Tartakovsky's Star Wars Clone Wars being a Fantasia segment for 2 hours. Not to mention the 3D gimmick of the time. I never understood how it can be used as a film medium. So yeah, not for me. All right, that's fair enough, dude. I understand. Let's see now. Hey, look, another Smurfs live action movie coming. This time it's Fire Red and Ash Ketchum. Gotta catch 'em all. Someone at Pokemon gotta sue the name. And I am not interested. By the way, you know what's better to watch in theaters? The Glass Worker is finally coming out in North America on August 14th. Go watch and review the movie. I mean, we'll see if it can be available in my region, because I understand with films like that, the screenings can be extremely limited. So, I mean, I cannot keep any promises on that. But I'd be interested in checking out The Glassworker, though. Let's see. I remember I saw this trailer before watching Fantastic Four over the weekend, and to be honest, it's pretty much what I expected. Visually, it's just as gorgeous as the previous movies, but story-wise, it looks like it's going to be weak. So honestly, this isn't a high priority for me to see. However, I think in regards to how this movie turns out, I have a strong feeling that it's going to be another $2 billion hit, like the last two, and one of the highest grossing movies of 2025. Yeah, that honestly, I think so, like, because I was contemplating if we would have the argument of, like, is it going to be another $2 billion hit? And then suddenly I remember I did actually talk about this in the with the last movie, with The Way of Water. I remember in AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, I actually did talk with you all if this would actually be something that, that would actually occur, if it would able to go and get on the level of the first Avatar movie in terms of the box office. And at that point, well, I mean, it didn't surpass the first Avatar, but it certainly did become a $2 billion hit. I think, honestly, you know what would be a more interesting question? Which one will end up having more money at the box office? Avatar Fire and Ash or Noja 2? That, I believe, is going to be the more interesting question. I think that's going to be the more interesting outcome to see which one is going to end up being bigger than the last. So I guess we will see by the end of this year, or I guess we're going to wait until the start of 2026, because I know that it's going to take a lot of time for Avatar Fire and Ash to really accumulate its money. All right. Oh, and by the way, it looks like the results are in. And for those of you who have voted, it looks like, well, a slight majority of you are actually going to go and watch it, in which 58% of you who have voted actually said that, yes, you are planning to go and see Avatar Fire and Ash, while 42% of you actually said that it is going to be a pass. Very interesting results right there. All right. Anyways, I remember thinking this when I got this before Fantastic Four, but dude, I think they won me over. The visuals are, shocker, absolutely phenomenal. The expansion of Pandora is fairly interesting, and I like that they're going to be a little darker here. Like, this could be the Avatar version of Empire Strikes Back. I'll leave a little room for caution, but I am sold for now. But I can't help but feel like they should change the title to, they changed the title from Avatar Fire and Ash to Avatar Now It's Lit Fam. Oh my God. Yeah. Get the Gen Z crowd going. Avatar. Yeah. We're going to go and check out Avatar. It's lit fam. Oh crap, dude. Okay. Anyways, I'll read a couple of more comments, and then we will go and get onto our first break. So anyways, as it says here, I actually wanted to see the first Avatar back when I was a kid, but why wouldn't I? The special effects and the theatrical experience is what draw me to that interest in the first place. Anyways, I don't know that much about my opinions of the Avatar movies, even though I've seen the second one in theaters, even in 3D before, and of course, yeah, not everybody is a fan of them as well, from what I've heard. Yet, I'm really glad for what James Cameron has and is pushing cinema here with these, by the way. All right, nice, dude. Anyways, there are some things I want to point in this. The shots in this trailer just look absolutely outstanding, along with gorgeous visuals. After seeing the films back to back in 2022, I'm actually starting to feel more sympathetic towards the Na'vi dealing with bad humans coming to Pandora and basically ruining their planet. I do like most of these characters in the Avatar movies, and I can't wait to return to Pandora in gorgeous IMAX 3D. James Cameron doesn't disappoint so far. All right, so I do see a little bit of mixed results here. A lot, some people are saying no, but I also do see some enthusiasm for it. But honestly, I think in my case, if I do want to get back into that whole Avatar thing, and if I would want to go and watch Fire and Ash, then I'll have to go and see The Way of Water first, just to at least catch up on what things are happening in Pandora. So once again, I would like to go and tell you all that if you are interested in checking out Avatar Fire and Ash, then keep in mind that it will be coming soon to theaters on December 19th. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to our first break, and when we do come back, speaking of Walt Disney World, since I did mention that a little bit in this segment here, I do want to go and discuss about a bit of news of what's happening in one of the parks there. Not at Animal Kingdom, but at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It might sound a little bit weird, but this is especially for you animation fans, because their next attraction they have coming up, oh, this is one that I don't think you'd want to miss, so stay tuned for that. All right, everyone, welcome back. Now, on our next story, we actually have some Disney park news to report, and this is especially for you animation fans out there, especially when they have an all-new attraction that is going to be prominently themed to the process of animation. Now, I know that this is far from the first time that Disney would go and actually do something like this. In fact, once upon a time, there was an attraction like that in Walt Disney World, in fact, down at Disney's Hollywood Studios, or back when it was still called Disney's MGM Studios. Well, funny thing about that attraction in particular, because, even though we did lose that attraction back about a decade ago in 2015, it looks like it is going to be making a surprise comeback. Yes, folks, they are indeed bringing back the magic of Disney animation. Yes, Disney has officially announced that they will be bringing back the magic of Disney animation to Disney's Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World. Now, of course, the big thing about this announcement in particular is that it will be coming back mostly the same. I mean, a lot of the details are going to be under wraps, but they did reveal some things that you can do, like what you used to back when the magic of Disney animation was still on. Because one major thing they did discuss about is the fact that drawing lessons will be coming back. There is going to be a room that's going to be like a little bit of a show in which one of the cast members is going to come in and they will actually teach the guests how to draw certain characters, depending on what their mood is or what their assignment is on that day. You know, you could draw Mickey Mouse, you could draw Goofy, you could draw Olaf, you could draw Moana. You know, it's one of those things. And yes, it will indeed be returning where people can draw. I mean, I know that technically there is an area where you can do that in Walt Disney World. I think there's one in Animal Kingdom where it teaches guests how you could go and draw certain characters. But the fact that it is coming back to Disney's Hollywood Studios is kind of the prominent thing in an area where it is heavily based on the process of animation. So yes, we are going to be getting those back, and I'm just going to go and make a little bit of a prediction, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's also going to be an area where they're going to go and promote not just their legacy, but also promoting the new animated movie. Like, I'm sure that all around, you're going to see like special little exhibits that highlight many original concept arts and maquettes of the films that they have done throughout the years, but it's also going to be a place where they're going to go and prominently promote whatever new animated movie from Walt Disney Animation Studios is going to be there. So I'm not 100% confident, but I'm just making a prediction that I'm sure they'll probably have some of those as well. So you got those elements that are and might come back from the classic magic of Disney animation. But what about the new stuff? Well, that is actually going to be in the form of the theming because, excuse me, folks. But the big thing about it is that now it is actually going to be prominently themed to the real animation studio in Burbank, California, where the facade is actually going to take some inspiration from Walt Disney Animation Studios, including having the sorcerer's hat being prominent on top. And of course, like you got like some of the structure that they'll take some inspiration from it. Like you'll have like the animation building. It won't spell out the Roy E. Disney building, but you know, like they'll still have those elements where it's going to be like a bit of a spin-off to the Burbank, California studio. Not to mention, actually, I just realized this right now, but technically, it's not just the magic of Disney animation that's going to be coming back, but I mean, in some capacity, the sorcerer's hat is going to be making a comeback as well, because if you're a Disney fan, you probably remember a while back when one of the main logos, or at least the main logo of Disney's Hollywood Studio was, Disney's Hollywood Studios, is actually the giant sorcerer's hat. Like, it used to be like prominently right in front of the Chinese theater, but now unfortunately they do have to take it out. But I mean, it is kind of coming back in some kind of capacity. It's like, well, technically, you know what I mean? But yes, but it's not just the fact that the structure is going to be based on the animation studio, but this attraction in particular is also going to be inspired by the Emmy Award-winning animated short Once Upon a Studio. So yes, folks, we are actually going to be getting a Once Upon a Studio attraction in Walt Disney World. And to prove this, we even got this poster here from of the Magic of Disney Animation that they did release. And you'll see some elements where it's actually a direct reference, where you got Olaf with the pencil. Of course, you got Mickey and Minnie in front in the same outfit that they wore in the short. And you even got Flounder coming out of the Mad Hatter's hat. And not to mention, I also did notice this. It's a little more subtle, but there's also a little bit of nods of the original Magic of Disney Animation of what it used to be. Like a great example is that the main animated movies that were animated at that studio, or well, technically the real animation studio that was there, like you see that they're still here. Like you got Mulan and Mushu that are very prominent. You got Stitch that's in the corner beside Olaf. And you even got Coda here from Brother Bear that can also be seen. And not to mention, you also got the genie, who is wearing the same outfit as Robin Williams was in the short film that was presented in the original Magic of Disney Animation. And it's also the same outfit that you see after the genie was set free and now like he's ready to pack his bags and go. So like he would also have that outfit as well. So it's a very lovely poster, very nice, and it does represent well of what could be to come. But but going back to what I was talking about, yes, this is going to be a Once Upon a Studio themed attraction where they even mention that just by the way, I'll be reading from my source here at Disney Parks blog. The playful interactive moments will be around every corner. You'll see portraits come to life before your eyes, just like they did in Once Upon a Studio. You'll find inspiration with a short film, with a twist of course, and you'll even pencil in some time to learn how to draw your very own character sketch. So basically what I've already talked about here. And not to mention that there even is a little extra area for younger kids out there, in which it says, our youngest animators to be can explore the Drawn to Wonderland playground filled with an oversized flower garden with musical instruments, a Mad Tea Party playset, and a Tugly Wood exploration area, all inspired by the original Alice in Wonderland concept art from Disney legend Mary Blair. It'll be perfect whimsical indoor play area for little ones to grow curiouser and curiouser. So that's pretty much the big thing that they are presenting here with the Magic of Disney Animation. But that's not all, though. There's also a few other things that I want to go and mention is that it's not just that area of where used to be Star Wars Launch Bay that's getting a big renovation, but it's also like that whole sector, like just the whole area around it as well is going to be getting a big change, in which it is going to be called the Walt Disney Studios, in which on top of the fact that they're going to be redoing a brand new show for the Disney Junior section, but also right in the middle of it, there's actually going to be a little park. There's going to be an area where you'll see like trees and grass, and it's going to be built as an area for people to just go and relax. If they want to take a moment away from the sun, if they want to go and like relax themselves after like an intense ride like Tower of Terror or something, then they can go here just to go and chill. And for those of you who are wondering when this is going to be coming out, well, there's no official release date, but they did confirm that essentially right now, as it is, like with the Star Wars Launch Bay and with Disney Junior Play and Dance, that's going to keep on going until September 25th of this year so that they could go and start doing the big changes. However, one of the attractions that is there, which is The Little Mermaid, A Musical Adventure, that is still going to be open to the public while this is all going on. So may I just say that I was not expecting this news to occur, but man, was this a pleasant surprise. And let me just go and start this off by getting this out of the way, because this is also a significant factor why there's actually a lot of hype that's going on for this attraction, is that Disney is finally getting rid of Star Wars Launch Bay. And honestly, this is probably one of those attractions that has not been getting a lot of love, because over time, its use and its presence, it's just becoming like less and less valued. And it just became a lot more of an eyesore because there really is no longer a need for the Star Wars Launch Bay. Because back when Disney closed down the original Magic of Disney Animation to put in the Star Wars Launch Bay, the purpose of it is to go and promote Star Wars, especially when at the time it was still like Disney's brand new toy that they fully purchased with Lucasfilms, and they wanted to go and use it in order to go and highly promote the sequel trilogy, starting with The Force Awakens. But then over time, after there have been more changes at Disney's Hollywood Studios, its purpose of it, like I said, it started to really diminish to the point that there's no need for it, especially after they went and built the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, like an entire new area that is themed to Star Wars with new major attractions, including Smuggler's Run and The Rise of Skywalker. And from there, it ultimately left Hollywood Studios in a weird position where now they got 3 different places that is prominently Star Wars themed, where on top of Galaxy's Edge, which is like right at the top of the entire park, you walk down, like once you pass Muppet Vision 3D, or what was Muppet Vision 3D there, you would go and see Star Tours, which, okay, it's a little bit weird to have them separated, but you know what? I kind of get it, because it's also like a little bit of a Lucasfilm area, because it's also next to Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. But then suddenly, you get another Star Wars area right across, like in the complete other side of it, in which it is just Star Wars, and it's surrounded by things that are very un-Star Wars. Like, you got the Little Mermaid show, you got Disney Junior, and like not far off, you got the Toy Story Land. So at that point, it's like, why is this even there? And fans have been anticipating that Disney announced something, like whatever it would be. They're just anticipating that they would announce that they're going to take that away and replace it with something else. I mean, it's also partly why fans were also hoping that Muppet Vision 3D would be moved to that area over there. And while it is official, it may not be the case. I will say, though, the return of the magic of Disney animation honestly brings me a lot of joy. Like, other than Muppet Vision 3D, that was the attraction that I was excited to go and check out at Disney's Hollywood Studios, especially as an animation fan myself. It's always fascinating to see like the process of animation just gradually come to life, especially using the Disney animated films as prominent examples. So it's great to see this returning. And on top of that, not only bringing back that opening day attraction, but also have it be themed to Once Upon a Studio. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, you guys know that I love that animated short. It is fantastic. Not only very innovative with the way that it mixes so many different mediums, but also with how it is such a loving tribute to Disney Animation's legacy from their very beginnings with Mickey Mouse and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit all the way up to Wish. I think it is a great animated short, and I'd even say one of the best things that Disney Animation put out in recent years. So a very lovely, very beautiful short. And as much as I do like it, I never would have thought that Disney would go and make an attraction or really make something prominent that is based on that short. That took me by surprise. So honestly, it does actually make me pretty excited to see what is in store with this entire attraction. And I'll even say, I actually had a chat with Logan Miller, which you guys know as Toucan LDM, and we actually talked about this and how hyped up we are for that ride. And we also shared a feeling that honestly, it's going to be a pretty hot take that I'm going to say, but I think I am honestly more excited for the magic of Disney animation than the upcoming Monsters Inc. land. I mean, I know, and I do understand like the hype on that area as well. And I can imagine that the Disney Imagineers are going to do a pretty solid job with that, especially with turning the area into like this new Monstropolis to make it prominent, make it a prominent Monsters Inc. themed area where you can meet Mike and Sully and see like to see all the other monsters going around, and especially with the upcoming roller coaster based on the door scene. I get that there is hype, but one thing that I'm personally not looking forward to, though, is the memory of what it used to be. Like going back to that area and no longer seeing that it is Muppet Vision 3D, there's going to be a little bit of a heartache for me personally. So in that regards, like no matter how the attraction is, for me, it's still going to be a full-on downgrade going from the Muppets to Monsters Inc. And I mean, technically the Muppets are not going away. I mean, they are going to be taking over Rock and Roller Coaster in 2026, but still though, I mean, it's Muppet Vision 3D. Like, it's my personal favorite Disney attraction of all time. So seeing that gone and be replaced with Monsters Inc., that is something that I'm personally not looking forward to. But when it comes to the magic of Disney animation, like that, honestly, it gave me something exciting to look forward to in that area. It's like for the first time in a long time, actually, it made me feel excited. It gave me a purpose to go back to Disney's Hollywood Studios so that I can go and check out the magic of Disney animation again, to go and re-experience both the familiarity and the new stuff that they would go and offer that is based on Once Upon a Studio. So personally, I'm definitely hyped up, and I know it sounds a little bit silly because it's not necessarily a full-on ride per se, but this has got to be already one of my most anticipated attractions coming to Walt Disney World. And I mean, I know they got a bunch of great stuff coming. I don't know what the fridge I said. I know there's a bunch of stuff that's also going to be coming, including the highly anticipated Villains Land, in which I did hear that Andreas Deja is also going to be involved in the process of making the attraction. So already that actually sounds pretty awesome. But I'm also excited to see what's in store for the magic of Disney animation. And if you guys are hyped up for that, then keep in mind that it will be opening in 2026. And if you want your opportunity to go and catch up with the Star Wars Launch Bay or the current Disney Junior show that is on right now, then keep in mind that you have until September 25th to do so. All right, so with that said, now it is time that I would go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think of the comeback of the magic of Disney animation, but now fresh and brand new? Are you guys excited for it? Do you have any questions about it? Is there something that you're not sure about with it? Let me know what you guys think. All right, so let's see here. This is pretty exciting that we're getting the Florida studio back after being closed for nearly a decade and becoming a Star Wars theme attraction while being located right next to Star Tours and Galaxy's Edge, sandwiching the Muppets. Although not the first time we've seen this happen since the Muppet Show did a Simpsons prior. Also, it's going to be Once Upon a Studio themed. Let's freaking go. Exactly, man. And by the way, I just want to go and quickly give you all a heads up that before you say anything, no, they're not going to bring back the animation studio. That's not going to be coming back. It's not going to be like a legitimately functioning studio where animators can go and work. It's just going to be the area in which it will be themed to the process of animation, plus it will be themed to Once Upon a Studio. So just to let you all know on that. Let's see. I only remember doing Launch Bay once and forgetting about it immediately after. Hell, I even advocating having it be replaced by Muppet Vision. But this is a great update. The Once Upon a Studio theme makes a ton of sense. But other than that, I really want to try out the drawing lessons because, come on, every red-blooded man wants to learn how to draw Chicken Little. I can't wait to check this out, especially since it's no longer a glorified Star Wars museum. Can you tell I'm not a Launch Bay fan? Yeah, I think it's safe to say nobody would. And considering what we have recently learned about with that area in particular, I think honestly, it starts to make sense why they didn't put Muppet Vision 3D in that area. Considering that the building that used to be the real animation studio, it is still technically up and running, but now used in a completely different way. I mean, I get it why Muppet Vision 3D shouldn't go there, because if it would, then that would mean taking down the former real animation studio. And I mean, that's a piece of animation history that should not be lost. So honestly, I think I do understand Disney's decision for that. But still, though, I mean, replacing the Launch Bay by bringing back the magic of Disney animation, holy crap, no pun intended, but my God, isn't that a freaking dream come true right there? All right. Animation Courtyard having animation in it? What a concept. Glad to see that one of Disney's most underrated attractions and one of their most iconic centerpieces are coming back, especially because it looks like some of my favorite Disney animated movies like Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, and Raya are going to be celebrated. I just want to know if this version of the magic of Disney animation will be a working animation studio like the original was. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure on it, but if I may take a guess, it's going to be a no. Like, I would say not 100, but like 99% sure that it ain't happening. It's not going to be like an animation studio, if you get what I mean. I definitely do think this is a great idea. Seeing them bring back the magic of Disney animation and getting the opportunity to basically see how they draw so many beloved Disney animated characters is awesome, on top of giving it a Once Upon a Studio theme. And honestly, it's about time they got rid of Star Wars Launch Bay, given it's an eyesore, and there's already so much Star Wars representation in Hollywood studios with both Star Tours and Galaxy's Edge. Not to mention that there was a little Star Wars museum going on, but it mainly was an area where it would be like a meet and greet for certain Star Wars characters. Like if you want to meet like Boba Fett or Chewbacca or Darth Vader, that would be the place to go. But now with Galaxy's Edge, when you have characters walking around like Kylo Ren and Ahsoka Tano, and even the legacy characters that I have mentioned, then in that regards, what the fridge is the point of the Launch Bay then? Like, you might as well just go and, like, replace it. Try something new. Put in something more exciting that actually feels like, Disney, or give it to, like, some kind of IP that needs representation there. And I mean, if we're going to go with Once Upon a Studio, then holy crap, so be it. Let's, as another commenter said, let's freaking go. Let's see now. 3 words. I called it. I mean, seriously, just thinking about it makes my eyes light up with an angel chorus. All right, for real, it sounds like a dream vacation just to be at. I always wanted to see it, but I never got to since I wasn't born. And just hearing about all the attractions, such as tours and drawing tutorials, oh, that is heaven. But if I have to ask from its history, does it mean they're making movies again? Also, could they add mouse ears to the hat? I think it'll throw a nice homage. Okay, I think I already answered those questions again right there. So hopefully you do understand. Let's see. Any other comments to go and read? Okay, I'll go with this one right here. About freaking time. Seriously, when people go on and cried, what's the worst thing to come out of Disney purchasing Star Wars, they'll go after The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker. For me, it was turning the original magic of Disney animation into a Star Wars attraction in a section that was specifically dedicated to animation. It should also be noted that it was recently reported that the majority of the building have been preserved. Exactly. I even I talked about it in a few episodes back, and it was just so fascinating to see all those pictures. And yeah, you know what? Now thinking about it, I think that's actually true. I think I got to agree with you there. That is possibly the worst thing that Disney has ever done with the Lucasfilm property. It's the Star Wars launch bay. I don't think I know anybody who actually does like the Star Wars launch bay. I mean, sure, like I'll go and ask people and I'll find some who will love either The Last Jedi or even The Rise of Skywalker or even like Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny will probably have a few fans. But launch bay, however, nah, it's a flop for everyone. And honestly, that's something I also asked Logan, like, what is the better news in this? The fact that we're getting a Once Upon a Studio themed attraction, the fact that the magic of Disney animation is coming back, or that the Star Wars launch bay is finally going to be gone, you know? It's like, it's one of those things. But then again, probably the answer is yes, all of them. All right, I think I'm going to go into one more comment, and then we're going to go and move on to the next break. Let's see now. You could not live with your failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. But in all seriousness, I am so excited that this is returning. I was unable to experience this when I went years ago, but now I have the opportunity again, and having it inspired by Once Upon a Studio and the Disney lot in Burbank is actually ingenious. Also, the Sorcerer Hat. I miss you, old friend. Suffice to say that I am excited for this, but the one thing I ask is that you bring Oswald over from Disneyland. Oh, you know what? I just had a bit of a flash, but that could actually be another really cool thing in the magic of Disney of animation. It could actually be a place where you could go and actually meet up with some rare Disney characters, like some rare meet and greets that you could go in. And I mean, yeah, it'll sound crazy, but like, you know, like someone actually brought up Chicken Little, but like, why not have a little moment where suddenly you can actually interact with Chicken Little, or maybe you could go and meet up with Genie, or maybe it'll be a place where you can meet up with Asha from Wish, or maybe even like with some of the other characters, like maybe Maui, or like, you know, like these characters that you don't often see walk around in the other parks like the Magic Kingdom or Epcot or Animal Kingdom, or even within Hollywood Studios. That would actually be the great place to go and actually take a picture or even get their autograph and stuff like that. I think it would be a pretty solid idea. Maybe they'll go and do it, but ultimately, we will wait and see when the magic of Disney animation will be coming back in 2026. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to our next break, and strap yourselves in. Get ready, people, because when it comes to our next story, oh boy, we are getting into the main attraction of this episode, as we are going to be checking out what is possibly the biggest power move in animation history, or at least one of them. But it certainly is for this year, though, so stay tuned for that. All right, we are back. Now, when it comes to our next story that I have here, this is going to be a real big one. So big, in fact, that this is actually going to be taking over 2 segments of this episode, because there really is a lot to really go and dissect and really look into with this particular story. And yes, I will indeed be talking about South Park, because it has been a massive week for the show. And I'm not just talking about the season premiere that it had, but also some of the things that had been going on behind the scenes as well. So there is a lot, as I said, that we are about to go and see right over here. But let's go ahead and begin by talking about a major deal that they had, which is with streaming. Yes, it is reported that Paramount And the South Park creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they have actually agreed on a brand new streaming deal. And with this deal in particular, it is like a real big one, even bigger, 3 times bigger, in fact, compared to the previous one that they have done with HBO Max. Because this time around, this isn't just about the US rights or just like the local domestic rights for South Park, just in terms of streaming, but now this is in regards to the global rights, that now Paramount actually has the exclusive global streaming rights to South Park, where now the only home of South Park that you will find on streaming is going to be on Paramount Plus. Because just to go and give you a quick recap as to what happened before, because let's just say that the current history of South Park and streaming, it's just been extremely messy. And I'm not talking about the Streaming Wars special that they did a few years ago. Because the big thing with what's been happening with the streaming rights of South Park, well, it was actually quite messy with Warner Brothers when South Park was in HBO Max. Because from there, there was actually there is a lawsuit that is going on where Warner Brothers actually sued Paramount because of the way that they feel like they got screwed over in terms of the streaming rights, where they were promised a bunch of new episodes, but they didn't even get like half of the new episodes that they were hoping for, where during that time, like once the 5-year deal was going on, the most that South Park did is that they kind of took their attention away from HBO Max or just making regular new episodes. And instead, they were putting their focus more on doing specials for Paramount Plus. In fact, last year in 2024, they made literally 0 new episodes. In fact, the last time was like in March of 2023. So you can imagine how Warner Brothers felt pretty screwed over. So that's why there was that lawsuit that was going on. And then you got the factor of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, where it wasn't that long ago in which the international streaming rights were pretty much over, and temporarily, South Park was no longer in any streaming service anywhere around the world, or at least in most parts of the world, I believe. And from there, Trey Parker and Matt Stone were trying to find a new streaming deal, rather it be by going back with Warner Brothers for HBO Max or even with Netflix. So they were opening up to their options. But then came their future bosses at Skydance like Jeff Shell, who would intervene and try to manipulate the deal to be more in Paramount's favor. And that's when Trey Parker and Matt Stone had to say, back off. And they even threatened a lawsuit. I don't think they filed it, but they were close to actually doing a lawsuit. Like they told them hey, back off or we're going to go and sue you. So basically they wanted to go and call them out on that. Even even putting out a tweet that said that, the Paramount Skydance merger is really ruining so many things, including their chance to go and actually continue making the show. So from there, Trey Parker and Matt Stone had a lot of frustrations, and the way that Paramount has been handling the streaming rights to South Park has been extremely messy. So that's why they decided to go and make a brand new deal to go and ultimately settle that the streaming rights are just going to be in Paramount, and they gave them a massive payday. In which I'm just going to go and quickly read you here from my source on Reuters, to which it says that the deal with the show's creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, through their Park County production company, values the global streaming rights at $300 million annually, the report said. Adding that the 5-year deal would bring the show $1.5 billion from streaming alone, which is probably the biggest pay that you will ever find just for one animated show. So you can imagine $1.5 billion just for that one series and just for streaming. That is a massive deal. So you can imagine that Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they walked away to the bank with that money. And some people are even debating if now Trey Parker and Matt Stone would actually be considered billionaires at that point by getting an offer like that big just for their one show. Like, you can imagine, it is quite massive. But, it's funny when looking into this deal. Like, even when I first saw it, like, this was, like, I believe this was actually reported on the night after I did the last episode. And honestly, it really showed that Paramount was just absolutely desperate. Like, this was before the merger was official and was approved by the FCC. Like, this was at a time when they were desperate to try to do anything and everything to ensure that everybody is happy and that they could keep the legacy of Paramount going. So yes, there are those controversial factors where they wanted to go and please Donald Trump and do things like settle the 60-minute lawsuit and give money to Trump, like basically bribing him to say that, okay, we're cool, we'll go and do whatever you want. But at the same time, they know that they cannot screw up their relationship with Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Because as I've stated before, South Park is possibly the biggest IP that Paramount owns, or at least one of the biggest that they have, like right next to Star Trek and SpongeBob. And that is something that they cannot afford to lose out on. They cannot afford to go and lose out Trey Parker and Matt Stone and have South Park go and be airing somewhere else. They just can't, especially in the position that they are in right now. They're like too vulnerable to lose out on one of their biggest shows ever. So in that regard, they had to go and make a deal that it can pretty much be best described as, please, please, please don't leave us. Please, please, please stay with us. We'll give you all the money in the world. Just please don't go and move somewhere else. We know that we've made you angry before, but we promise that we will do good and we will make you happy. So please, 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 please stay. That's essentially that's what I am hearing about. I mean, I don't know if this is the real estimated value of South Park, or at least in terms of their streaming rights, because again, I do understand that when it comes to the whole deal that they have done with HBO Max, that's like literally just a third of it, and it is only for the domestic rights. So it's like literally for US only that they would go and show South Park on HBO Max. But in this regard, though, with the fact that they're doing this exclusive, exclusive global rights with Paramount, and just for the streaming, it's just insane to hear that they're getting $1.5 billion just for their one show alone. And essentially, I guess this is also another like desperate way in order to go and like really rebuild Paramount Plus, because that's also another major factor and another major emergency that they got to go and fix. Because right now with Paramount Plus, it took a massive hit recently. You probably recall that I talked about it last week when it comes to the Colbert Report, and that a lot of people, most people in fact, were very upset of the cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and that I guess, I would say almost at best, almost nobody bought into the narrative that they tried to go and explain and say that, oh, we're only doing this because of financial reasons and literally for no other reason whatsoever that might be political or stuff like that. They tried to go and pull off that excuse, but it really does show that, no. We know what's going on. It's mainly because you want to make Donald Trump happy. That is your biggest goal right there. That's mainly what you want to go and do. And by getting rid of Stephen Colbert, you're pretty much bending a knee to fascism. You're basically trying to cancel anybody who would dare go and try to criticize Donald Trump. So by pulling off that move, it really is despicable. And a lot of people were very much disgusted by that, which is why many people went and actually unsubscribed to their Paramount Plus subscription. So from there, you can imagine that it could be quite a blow for that platform, especially when it's not big enough to go and actually take these kinds of hits. It's not as big as either Netflix or Disney Plus or Amazon Prime Video. It's the kind where it needs to have as many subscribers as it can in order to go and survive. So in that regard, yeah, they need to pull off something massive like getting the global streaming rights of South Park so that they can actually say that they are the official streaming home of South Park, to use that as a massive marketing campaign so that they don't, so that they don't lose the streaming wars, so that they don't lose their platform in the first place. Otherwise, the trials and tribulations that they went through would be all for nothing. It would just be shattered into pieces. Ironically enough, it would kind of put them in a similar position to where Warner Brothers is right now. Maybe you guys have actually heard of it, but funny enough, Warner Brothers actually announced that they're going to be set. You know how they're separating themselves from into two different entities? Well, it looks like they're going to be updating their names. And right now, it looks like Warner Brothers is just going to be Warner Brothers. And the other entity that was separated is now going to be Discovery. So we're pretty much back to freaking square one, where Warner Brothers is no longer Warner Brothers Discovery. It's just that we now have one thing is Warner Brothers and another thing is Discovery. So congratulations, WB. You played yourself. But anyways, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to go and say. That Paramount doesn't want to be in a similar position to Warner Brothers, where they would go back to square one, and that whole trial and tribulation that they went through, where they took all those hits from Paramount Plus, or they took all the damage from Paramount Plus, would be for absolutely nothing. So they don't want to give up on that streaming platform. And I get the angle that they're trying to go with. I mean, I'm sure it is a massive deal to be the official streaming home of South Park. It's kind of like the same way where Disney is presenting themselves as the official streaming home of The Simpsons, which of course is like the biggest show that you could find on that platform next to Bluey, or at least in terms of adult animated series. Like, Disney got a major one with The Simpsons for their platform. So yeah, I can see like the strategy that they want to go and try and do. And by the way, it's also worth noting that back when the announcement was first made that Trey Parker and Matt Stone accepted this deal, oh boy, were people upset about it. Like, I've seen people like full on raging and protesting against South Park because people believe that now Trey Parker and Matt Stone decided to go and bend a knee to Paramount, whom they have bent a knee to Donald Trump. So basically, a lot of people were just very upset, feeling like Trey Parker and Matt Stone have sold themselves to Paramount, so that they might probably end up being like Paramount, where they'll just blindly agree to what Donald Trump would have to say. Now, if that actually is the case, well, we'll save that conversation for later, of course. But still, though, it's just wild to see how we finally did come to that conclusion to the whole streaming situation of South Park, where now we know that its future on streaming is going to be on Paramount Plus, no matter in which part of the world you're in, rather it be like you're in the US, or if you're in Canada like me, or if you're in Europe. Then we all know that if you want to watch South Park on streaming, then it's got to be on Paramount Plus. So yeah, honestly, just pretty wild. So with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to go and ask you all, what did you all think about the streaming deal that Paramount did with Matt Stone? I know many of you are eager to go and discuss about the episode, but we are saving this conversation for later. For now, I just want to know your opinion on the streaming rights, on the whole streaming deal that they did, and that Trey Parker and Matt Stone got $1.5 billion out of it. So if anybody would like to go and comment, now would be the time. All right, so It's kind of insane that Paramount had that money to pay off South Park for more episodes while they are getting rid of Stephen Colbert's late night show. Yeah, this is just wrong that Paramount has done all that because of the stupid merger with Skydance. Sure, I'm glad South Park is back, but yeah, that's foul, Paramount. And yeah, you know what? That's actually pretty hilarious and hypocritical of Paramount, because they pretty much just proved that what they explained for their reason to cancel Stephen Colbert, that's just a flat out lie. Like, imagine this. They went and tried to explain that, oh, well, for financial reasons, we cannot go and air any more episodes of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It's purely just for money reasons, and we want to save up on our cash. And then literally just a few days later, here's $1.5 billion just for the streaming rights of South Park. Like, suddenly they pulled that money just to go and provide it for literally just one show and just for the streaming aspect of it. Like, this isn't for the actual production of the episodes and stuff like that. It's literally just for streaming. So yeah, in that regard, Paramount kind of made themselves look even more suspicious of the fact that they had to go and cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And it's becoming more clear that they're just lying about it right in front of our faces. All right, let's see. I haven't watched South Park myself, but this idea definitely sounds desperate. With how Paramount Plus is doing badly, even if I still have it for sports, and their loyalty towards Trump, it feels like Paramount's in full damage control, just doing whatever they can so that the streaming service can survive. Also, I honestly was hoping that you would go more into detail about the WBD split. I mean, it is fresh news, and I mean, worst case scenario, if it's possible, maybe next week I'll go and talk about it even further. I wasn't really ready for that announcement. I already had my own things to go and prepare. I'm sorry if I didn't talk about it now, but maybe next time we'll go and discuss about it, considering that, well, I mean, it is still fresh, so it could be worth looking into. Let's see. So copy pasting from Culture Crave, Warner Brothers Discovery will separate into two companies by mid-2026. One is called Warner Brothers, including HBO Max, Warner Brothers TV and Films, DC Studios, and Gaming. The other is Discovery Global, which includes CNN, Discovery, TNT Sports, and Discovery Plus. Okay, I got it. But I mean, there are just thinking about it, I think I don't know if I have, but I believe I have discussed about it when the news first did come out. I believe I did go into it. I discussed it in a certain capacity. So, maybe in the previous episodes, you'll find me actually discussing about it. If not, then maybe I'll save that for next week, but no promises. We will see. Let's see now. Kind of nice to see South Park finally got its deal, yet still their merger with peeps that support a rapist and possible pedophile. Not the first time they've done that. What the F is wrong with you on that, Paramount? Unspeakable. Yeah, we will go into details on that later. Let's see now. This is a big W for Matt and Stone. Paramount really wanted to keep South Park on Paramount because they really don't want to lose a lot. They really don't want a lot of big IPs other than SpongeBob and others because they're doing it just to have the streaming service to exist. I bet Matt and Stone are going to use the $1.5 billion for the show itself. I mean, we will see. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other businesses that Parker and Stone do have, and especially if it's related to South Park, but we'll see with how things go. Let's see now. And honestly, I'm honestly really surprised this happened, but I knew this was a desperate times call for desperate measures kind of situation. Paramount was in such a bad state to the point where they need something worthwhile on Paramount Plus after canceling Colbert's show. So I don't think this is a win for Parker and Stone, but I'm pretty sure Paramount fell right into their trap. Oh, you tell me, dude. All right, I think there'll be one more comment, and then we're going to go into our next break and part 2. So The deal was hell of a chess move on South Park's part. They're a bunch of morons for getting rid of Colbert, and you're a bunch of hypocrites to have the balls to cancel Colbert, but then pull stunt. Thanks, Paramount, you massive idiots. Can't wait to see how South Park satirizes this. Okay, for a moment, I was thinking, I was like, wait, am I the idiot here? Okay. Oh, no, you're just talking to Paramount. I see. All right, so with that said now, we're going to go on to our next break, and when we do come back, we will go and discuss about part 2 in our story to discuss about another thing that has happened with South Park just a few days after Parker and Stone got their $1.5 billion. So, what happened afterwards? Well, wait and see as we will go and talk about the premiere. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, let's just say that the previous story that I talked about, it's a little bit more to give you a whole bunch of context for what is the ultimate outcome out of all this. What happened after the whole streaming battle of South Park and the way that it ultimately concluded with giving Trey Parker and Matt Stone $1.5 billion. So, what happened after? Well, a few days later, the day finally came that South Park was finally coming back. And not like in a way that they would go and deliver a special on HBO Max, but I mean like South Park in its true, purest form on television and just a new regular episode. As I stated before, the last episode that came out was back in like March of 2023. So it's been over 2 years since we've had any regular episode of South Park. And how was it? Oh boy, let's just say that it is one of the most talked about pieces of animation this year. So let's get into it, folks. Let's go ahead and talk about the South Park episode, Sermon on the Mount. Now, to go and give you some context about what this episode is, it's basically, imagine a Trump supporter's dream come true, where basically it is a world where basically what happened in South Park is that woke is officially dead. And now the school in South Park, they are pretty much forced to go and have Christianity be prominent everywhere, in which the new principal, he is all about asserting Christian nationalism and that Jesus has to be fully present everywhere in the school, no matter what, which of course would go and upset many of the adults in South Park. Where from there, a lot of people were mad and basically expressing how there needs to be a separation from church and state, and that what they are doing is kind of illegal. And basically, it led to the people of South Park, despite the fact that they did, like many of them did voted for Donald Trump, they're mad at the consequences that ended up coming with it, especially with what's going on in the school. But then came Donald Trump and the way that they have portrayed him. Oh my goodness. Let's just say it's actually more the return of a classic character. And while it's not necessarily the first time that they have presented Donald Trump or have parodied Donald Trump in the show, what they did, however, is that let's just say they recycled an old character, specifically Saddam Hussein in South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and decided to make him Donald Trump. It's just literally the same character, literally the same kind of voice. They're not doing a Trump impression, like literally that same like high-pitched nasally voice of like, hey, come on, relax, guy. Come on, why don't we get busy? They and basically like just use that personality and just put that onto Donald Trump. Not to mention doing the same thing like they did in Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, where the face, it's not like a South Park face, or it's not like what they did before, like they did at one point, like a Canadian face for Donald Trump. No, it's literally pictures of Donald Trump, like his actual face, and just like talking like a Canadian with his like top head just like bouncing around in order to go and talk. And yes, not only that, but they also did some direct references to that Saddam Hussein, where every time we see Donald Trump show up, we hear Saddam's theme from the movie. Like, they actually play like little pieces of I Can Change whenever Donald Trump actually appears. And of course, you probably have seen it on the internet, but we literally see Donald Trump in bed with Satan. And even Satan himself actually does make some gags that are related to Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Like, he was basically playing the exact same role as he was before, where he's just not happy with Donald Trump. It's kind of like they're a couple at the brink of breaking up and like trying to call him out on some of the bad things. Like, it was actually Satan who had to go and ask Trump about the Epstein files. And he even mentioned, it was like, why is it that whenever we bring up the Epstein files, all you have to say is to just relax? I don't say relax. I don't tell everyone to relax. Come on, relax, guy. And not to mention, of course, Trump always being horny to Satan. And yes, considering that we are talking about South Park, of course, there will be an element of immaturity, and they always go after Donald Trump's tiny penis. And that is one thing that is also like a big factor, is that this is actually a very rare moment where they were able to go and present this whole episode uncensored. So even though it is like teeny tiny, they still legitimately showed Donald Trump's tiny penis right on camera, like just for the sake of the gags right there. And honestly, like just by watching this episode, I actually did go and see it. And my God, I could see where all the hype is and what a masterpiece it is. Like, especially discussing about like what would happen if woke is dead, and you see Eric Cartman just being very depressed about it, that he no longer has anything to make fun of. So like, he was at the point where he contemplated like to take his own life alongside with, and taking down Butters with him. So there was that whole narrative that they actually did frame it in a way that was actually pretty funny. And then there's also like all the commentaries that they did is just absolutely genius. Their commentary on how there should be a separation of church and state, how Republicans are trying to force Christian nationalism onto the education system, and not to mention, especially, the way they really called out Donald Trump. The fact that, considering that they didn't do an episode in 2024, so they pretty much skipped out on mentioning the elections. And even though, there have been a few times where they did talk about Donald Trump, and they even had at one point portrayed Mr. Garrison as Donald Trump. That in fact, they even did a little bit of a gag where the people of South Park, they got mad, so they tried to go after Mr. Garrison, but then they had to go and clarify, no, Mr. Garrison is not Donald Trump this time. So yeah, there is that clever throwback, but basically, it's kind of like Parker and Stone saved up all their energy of how they feel about Donald Trump and the way that he's trying to lead in a fascist authoritarian way, literally being literally enabling full-on Nazism onto America, and just really go all out to portray him as basically saying that he is America's Saddam Hussein and the most corrupted president in the United States history. Where with Donald Trump, a common thing that he would go and do is that he would threaten to sue anyone and everything that would go and inconvenience him. In fact, one of the plot lines is actually in regards to the fact that Trump there were people who were angry at Donald Trump, and his response is try to sue South Park for $5 billion. And not only that, though, but there was also a moment where Jesus had to go and step in and be in front of the South Park people. And that's when he would go into a full-on bash, a massive slam against not Trump, but on Paramount, in which he would go and actually, this was South Park's moment to go and call out the corruption of Paramount as well. There was even a moment like we see they did a segment of 60 minutes and you see like the host just being like all nervous. It's like, we're here in front, we're going to go and talk about South Park, in which they are very upset with Donald Trump. A great guy, by the way, a great guy. We have nothing against him, but it's just, we're being, we just want to go and say that South Park are the ones who are against Donald Trump. So we see them, how they're so nervous not to try to upset Donald Trump. And then there's the part with Jesus coming in to go and call out Paramount with how they are corrupted. And that basically with Donald Trump, like, you could pay him millions of dollars and you could get away with whatever you want. That because of Donald Trump's openness to bribery, there is no more law. That because he's the president and that he's happily accepting these bribes from everyone, like, there's almost nothing that's pretty much illegal. And that these major corporations, through their bribery, they're letting Donald Trump get away with pretty much everything. And not to mention that, okay, this is going to be kind of spoilers, but okay, it is spoilers, unfortunately. But the conclusion of the whole battle between South Park versus Donald Trump is that they even made a commentary in which they said that, well, the only way that they were able to get out of it was to go and bribe Donald Trump, where instead of the $5 billion that Trump was asking for, they settled on $3.5 million. And also to go and do PSAs to go and praise Donald Trump. And the PSA thing that they did at the end of the episode, it was the cherry on top. It was basically this live action footage of this fat man. From what I've heard, I believe they did this, they did live action footage. Some people say that it was all AI, but I think what they did is actually, it was actually shot live on camera. And what they did is just deep fake Donald Trump, in which he was in the desert, just slowly but surely taking off his clothes because he was so hot. And then you just see like this tiny penis just rise up and just say, "Hi, Donald Trump, and I approve this message." Oh, man. But it was just pure comedy gold that they would try to go and show, where it's like this massive backhanded compliment that they would go and give Donald Trump. But it's basically all this massive commentary on the current state of America right under Donald Trump, where it's, it speaks for itself. They're flat out saying that Donald Trump is the Saddam Hussein of America, this completely corrupted dictator, where as long as you pay him millions of dollars, you could be above the law, and that you don't have to face his wrath, in which, like I said, any small, tiny convenience, he will go and sue anyone and everyone. So, of course, as you can imagine, the temperament that this episode caused really riled up a bunch of people. I mean, of course, the grand majority of people who saw it gave it high praise, but then also you got those angry Trump supporters who are not smart enough to understand the commentary that South Park would go and commonly express. They got pissed off because their dear Osama bin Laden-like leader is being insulted, and they're flat out trying to be exactly like Trump as he is portrayed in the show, where some people would go and express that, oh, Trey Parker and Matt Stone should be arrested, Trump should go and sue them, and all that kind of stuff. And not to mention, yes, we even got a comment from the White House themselves. So if I may go on to my source here on Deadline, there's even a comment directly from the White House Assistant Press Secretary Taylor Rogers, to which he went and said here The left's hypocrisy truly has no end. For years, they have come after South Park for what they have labeled as offensive content, but suddenly they are praising the show. Just like the creators of South Park, the left has no authentic or original content, which is why their popularity continued to hit record lows. This show hasn't been relevant for over 20 years and is hanging on by a thread with uninspired ideas in a desperate attempt for attention. President Trump has delivered on more promises in just 6 months than any other president in our country's history, and no fourth-rate show can derail President Trump's hot streak. Yeah, which ones though? Which promises are you talking about? The fact that he did a 9/11 style attack on the American people and try to keep deporting any people of color, trying to enable white nationalism onto the US? I mean, for God's sakes, isn't the Second Amendment the reason to make people not racist, to go after exclusively Confederates, Nazis, the KKK, those white supremacist groups? I mean, for God's sakes, when are we going to go and make America scared of being racist again? Seriously. There are no promises that Trump has done other than the anti-American ones that makes his supporters as bad as the terrorists who caused 9/11. But other than that, also, and not to mention, what about the promise of the Epstein files, huh? Where did that promise go? But then also, it's really funny because in this article right over here, they even mentioned right in the middle, in which they said that, the show is irrelevant. Yet literally a few days ago, Trey Parker and Matt Stone got $1.5 billion just for the streaming rights. So it really does show how, whatever they say in the White House, it really contradicts from reality. And not to mention how it is still being talked about to this day shows that the relevancy is indeed alive and well. So this is just one of the millions of lies that the Trump administration is bringing out. But man, all this is to go and say that this is such a massive power move. This is why I have stated that this is possibly the biggest power move that we have seen in animation history. I know previously I said that, okay, maybe it's just one of, but no, this is probably a very strong contender for being the biggest power move of them all. And the reason why I say this is because of the way that this not only goes after the company that they belong to, but it goes after the president of the United States, really going after that kind of direct attack. And it's amazing how all this happened just days after accepting a $1.5 billion deal. So let's go and recap on this entire history. The fact that, or at least the recent history of what happened in these past several days. Paramount has been under fire for blindly obeying Donald Trump and for canceling the Stephen Colbert show. And everybody got so pissed off. And even with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they're pissed off as well because Paramount and Skydance has been interfering with their streaming deals. So what they do to try to make everybody happy is to go and give Trey Parker and Matt Stone a $1.5 billion deal so that South Park can stay with Paramount, at least in terms of streaming. And then just a few days later, they went and put out a banger of an episode like that so that they can go and actually mock Donald Trump, mock Paramount with what they're doing, basically to go and make a statement to say that they are going to do whatever they want, regardless of what Paramount's going to do or whatever Trump is going to do. I mean, they're basically saying, come at me, bro. What's the worst that can happen? Is Paramount going to go and cancel South Park? They can't do that. That would be way too stupid. They literally just gave them $1.5 billion just for the streaming rights. They can't go and just immediately cancel them, just like what they did with Stephen Colbert. That would be way too stupid and way too irresponsible on Paramount's part. Not to mention that, this was something that it legit became a massive threat to the Paramount Skydance merger, because Paramount was doing everything they could in order to make Donald Trump happy. But then suddenly, here comes South Park giving out the biggest middle finger that a cartoon ever could to a sitting president of the United States. And it might have put that on jeopardy. Like, it really did put that in a big risk. Now, it didn't happen, of course. And about a day later, the deal was officially set, and the FCC did approve to the Paramount and Skydance merger. Which, if I could go and make a quick comment there, that was honestly kind of scary with the way that the FCC would go and phrase that, in which they would unironically go and say that, oh, we're glad to see this deal happening and we can't wait to see the reform they're going to do on CBS, which honestly, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit scary. It sounds like they're ready to go and turn CBS into just another propaganda machine in the veins of like Newsmax or Fox News and stuff like that. So that is honestly something I'm really not going to be looking forward to on CBS's part. But still, though, the fact that they even did this in the first place, like, it is awe-inspiring and something that I feel like it is worth applauding for, because this is one of the biggest highlights in animation this year. It's not just the fact that South Park came back, but they came back in full force, going after some powerful entities like Donald Trump and on CBS. And I mean, the thing is that, yeah, it's surprising to see how far they would go and do it, but let's be real, it's not surprising that they did so in the first place. I mean, it is South Park after all. They'll go after anybody. And Trey Parker and Matt Stone have already expressed that they have a hatred for authoritarian dictators, no matter where they are in the world. Regardless if it's Saddam Hussein or if it's Donald Trump, they're not going to take any biases. They're going to go and tell it like it is. And the reason why we see many Trump supporters be all pissed off and think that, oh, South Park is just catering to liberals. No, you're just pissed off because you got called out, because the person you admire the most got called out. You're just pissed off because they're not catering to your bias. That's all you're mad. That's all you're mad about. That's all you're pissed off about. I mean, you desperately want South Park to be a purely conservative show that would only make fun of liberals, but no. If they're going to be making fun of people, then they're not going to go and just hesitate on one group in particular. Yes, you're next, and they won't hesitate to call out on how your white nationalism is nothing more but a mental illness, and that America will only be great when hate speech is going to be illegal. So yeah, I just want to go and take this moment to go and say congratulations to Trey Parker and Matt Stone on their epic comeback with South Park, and especially with that episode, and especially with that power move. I mean, my God, that was incredible. A true highlight of the summer in animation, maybe even bigger than K-pop Demon Hunters. All right, so with that said, now I would like to pass this on to the chat wall. And yes, folks, it's your time to go and talk about everything that has happened with South Park during the week. Did you guys see the episode? What did you all think about it? And how do you feel about the power move that they pulled off here? Let me know what you all think about this. All right, now, it's funny how a few years ago, the same far-right lunatics thought South Park was totally on their side with that one race-swapping parody episode, which I didn't like, but didn't hate either, because at the end of the day, South Park has always been made to be offensive to, well, people in general. But they forgot that Trey and Matt have no qualms going after and taunting these people. Good on them for calling out Trump, Paramount, and everyone else. I look forward to seeing more. All right. Skydance and Paramount sacrificed billions of dollars, their respect, their dignity, and their First Amendment right just to merge, only to have one of their own shows take a dump all over them. I'm almost impressed. Like, you'd have to try to be this incompetent and terrible for the sake of a pointless and costly merger. Like, at least Warner and Discovery didn't need to embrace fascism on the merger. On the bright side, at least Chudge will stop that obnoxious gif of Cartman as Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, you know, hey, at least, like, if it keeps those criminals away, then fine, then at least there's a benefit. All right, so I'm honestly not a huge South Park fan, but I have seen clips from the episode, and it is absolutely glorious. Seeing Parker and Stone go after Paramount and their gross incompetence, but especially doing everything to go after Trump and the absolute monster that he is. So this really was the ultimate middle finger to both Paramount and Trump, and honestly, I'm hoping that as long as Trump is still in power, they will continue to mock Trump as hard as possible. Honestly, in my case, actually, I would say that I hope that they don't have to do any more soon. Not because of like, oh, let's make South Park a little bit tame. No, I'm just saying, let's just hope that because of outside circumstances, they won't need to mock Trump anytime soon. I'm just gonna go and put it like that. All right, let's see now. First of all, welcome back, South Park. We all miss you. I gotta say, this is one of the most insane things to happen this year when it comes to anything animated. The way they satirize Trump and his penis is easily one of the best things that South Park has ever did. Even having him looking and acting like Saddam from the movie is a nice touch here. This is something I really needed for a laugh. It's so freaking funny. Oh my God, I get how you feel, man. As a big South Park fan, I'm happy that we still have it around with us, especially in such difficult times, that Parker and Stone gave the biggest middle finger to Trump and Paramount. This premiere of season 27 was an absolute banger by mocking Trump and his tiny penis. Matt and Stone really tried to rage bait Trump, and it really worked on their favor. Overall, I can't wait to see not what the rest of the season, but what South Park in general has in store in the future. And I mean, at this point, knowing how Trump and Trump supporters are, it's not that hard to go and rage bait them, considering that they are like act first, think second. You know, like it's easy, it's easy. Like they will rage out of a drop of a hat. You know what I mean? Anyways, the response from Trump supporters and conservatives to this episode had been so fascinating throughout the entire week. Not too long ago, you had people going on how base Cartman was against trans people, but suddenly when they make fun of Trump, it is now washed and irrelevant. Absolutely hilarious, and it's one of those few episodes that we needed in South Park, especially for these next 4 years. Yeah, and I mean, if the worst case, Trump is still around being president, then hopefully South Park will not stop calling him out. Hopefully that Trump will have more materials for South Park to make more of these kinds of unforgettable episodes. Let's see, what other comments would there be for me to go and read, especially from some that especially from some I haven't read yet. So let's see. To say this, I'd be the last guy on earth to ever watch South Park. I never liked the humor, the over immatureness, and not to mention the bad animation. But honestly, that was the most hilarious thing I've seen from them. Like, I could say it was unavoidable not to see it. It trended everywhere on Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and even just on simple Google searches. Like, I'll give them this. Trey and Matt really had a lot of gall just to pull this off. And with that, I say respect. Oh, yeah, man. And that's the crazy thing, man. Even people who don't care or don't even like South Park, like, it was a moment where the world got together and, at least the majority of them, like, were pretty much unionized to loving South Park with what they have pulled with this. This is a big this is a tremendous moment, like a massive highlight, not just in South Park's history, but in animation history in general. Like using the power of animation to go after politics in this kind of manner. Like, you don't get that every day. All right, I think I'll read one more comment here. So let's see, who else can I go? And all right, I'll go here. So I will say, I watched the episode throughout the weekend at my friend's Discord server before watching the first Bad Guys movie. The episode is beyond hilarious, I could tell you. The jokes and parodies are pure comedy gold. I don't care if it offends everyone because Matt and Trey just loves to piss people off. They're very base for that. Seriously, this episode is a huge power move. Exactly, man. It's not every day that we get an animated show to do something like this, but when they do, those moments are as legendary as what we just saw here. All right, so now we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, we are going to get into a heck of a grand finale where I'm not just going to go and talk about one thing, but we are going to go into a lightning round of all the big highlights that we have heard, or at least the animation highlights that we have heard during the weekend. So stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is now time that we are going to go and conclude this episode off with the grand finale. And for this grand finale, I don't have just one, but a whole bunch of major animation news that has occurred at this year's excuse me. Let me just go and restart that. At this year's San Diego Comic-Con. Now, just to let you all know, I'm not going to go and report literally every animation news that was reported. This is just a highlight of several of them that have been revealed, just to go and really show what did occur during the convention and what major news that we were able to get out of them. And there's been a lot that are very significant. Now, I'll do the best I can in order to go and give out my quick thoughts on each of them whenever I can. But they are worth highlighting. They are worth discussing. So without further ado, let's go and start this big round. Starting with, of course, Avatar 7 Havens, in which during a special panel dedicated to the 20th anniversary of Avatar The Last Airbender, we actually got our first look at Avatar 7 Havens, which is going to be the third series in the Avatar The Last Airbender franchise, in which not only did we get our first look at the setting where this is going to be based on, but also we got our first look in the Avatar herself, her pet cat monkey, and her mentor, who is also an airbender. I believe we have heard of their names, honestly, but I'm not 100% sure on what they are. Like, I know that, I know the cat's name is like Geet, and I think the avatar's name is Perry or something like that. Chat wall, you could probably, like, if you have knowledge on this, feel free to go and write it just to go and be sure. I think they have said it, but I don't know. I tried to go and find it, but I don't know if they have. Oh, Pavi, okay. So the avatar's name is Pavi. I was thinking it was like Perry or something like that. Oh God, yeah, that honestly would just be that would be a completely different show. Like you see someone ready to go and fight, like the Avatar? The Avatar? No, okay, it is Pavi. I gotcha. All right, thank you so much. And by the way, if you want to know a little bit more about how the series is going to be, then let me just go and read you from my source here on Variety, just to give you a quick recap on what the synopsis is. Seven Havens follows two earthbending twins when one discovers she's the Avatar, the latest person who could wield all four elements. The new series is set in a world shattered by a devastating cataclysm. A young earthbender discovers she's the new Avatar after Korra, but in this dangerous era, that title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not its savior. Hunted by both human and spirit enemies, she and her long-lost twin must uncover their mysterious origins and save the Seven Havens before civilization's last stronghold collapse. So yes, so that is pretty much our first look of Avatar 7 Havens, to which the series will be coming out in 2027, I believe, somewhere there. Or at least it's going to be coming out after the big movie is going to be released. All right, so now that we got that, our next story is going to be in regards to a Rick and Morty spinoff. Yes, We got more Rick and Morty coming up, but it's not necessarily Rick and Morty themselves, but instead a character who has been part of the series for quite a while, President Curtis. So yes, we are getting a President Curtis series, to which it states here, now go again in my source on Variety, per the show's logline, President Curtis follows the commander-in-chief and his eccentric staff as they tackle the kind of crisis that Rick Sanchez could never be bothered with, from interdimensional diplomacy to paranormal investigations and unexplained phenomenon. And yes, of course, this series will be starring the voice of President Curtis, which is Keith David, alongside Stephanie Beatrix and Jim Rash, who are also going to be part of the series as well. And we don't necessarily have a confirmed release date or when specifically this is going to be coming out, but we know that this President Curtis series will be coming out soon. All right, now jumping from Adult Swim to Cartoon Network, there is actually going to be an upcoming TV movie that shall be released. Well, there's actually going to be two of them, but one is already announced, which is going to be Ianu, the Age of Wonders. So yes, it's actually going to be Ianu that's going to be getting two movies, but the first one that's going to be coming out is Ianu, Age of Wonders. So now jumping into my source on Animation Magazine, it states here, said 500 years before the rise of Ianu, the Age of Wonders transports viewers to Yoruba land at the height of its magical civilization. When Meje, the embodiment of the seven deadly sins, emerges, young warriors Dara and Ishe must stop the coming age of darkness. Their only hope lies with the divine ones, legendary beings who once walked the earth and upheld the balance between light and shadow. At the same time, they have also revealed that season 2 is currently in the works, and that the Age of Wonders is actually going to be premiering both on Cartoon Network and HBO Max on Saturday, August 30th at 9:30 a.m. And now, jumping from that, we're going to get back to the adult animation stuff, in which we will look into the Comedy Central animated panel, in which, of course, it does feature Trey Parker and Matt Stone representing South Park, but at the same time, it has also featured Mike Judge to represent Beavis and Butthead, and Andy Samberg representing the series that he co-created, Digman. And all of them were there to go and discuss about their respected shows and when they're going to be coming out and what may be in store. So, of course, we got Mike Judge talking about what will be happening for, I believe, season 3 of the Beavis and Butthead revival. Then you got Andy Samberg discussing about what's coming up in season 2 of Digman. And, of course, the main attraction of that panel is with Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Considering that it just happened soon after the season 27 premiere, of course, a lot of the discussions have to be about not just with what's coming up in this season, but especially with the episode itself. The challenges that they have to go and face, especially the big fight against Comedy Central in order to go and air the episode fully uncensored, complete with Trump's penis actually being shown, even though it is still stupidly small. And on top of that, even discussing about like what they have to do in order to go and prepare it. Like the trailer that they actually showed to go and highlight what's coming up in season 27, apparently none of that is actually going to occur in the series. That trailer was all completely made up just to go and satisfy Comedy Central and Paramount. So yeah, maybe you're a bit disappointed. Maybe there were some things that you want to see, like the space battle with P. Diddy or Canada going to war against the US and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's made up, but still though, it feels like, yeah, it feels like a Parker and Stone thing that they would go and pull off. And of course, during that panel, Trey Parker and Matt Stone actually did receive San Diego Comic-Con's Lifetime Achievement Award, which is the Inkpot Award for Excellence in Animation. And if you guys want to go and check out that panel, if you want to learn more about what Trey Parker and Matt Stone, what Mike Judge and what Andy Samberg have to go and say, the whole panel was actually uploaded on YouTube, so you could go and check that one out. And moving on from that, we also got a big update of another popular adult animated series, which is Family Guy. And in Family Guy, they have actually revealed that not only is the next season ready to be released in 2026, but also they have revealed that we are going to be getting some holiday specials for this year. So, of course, there is going to be one for the holidays, like with Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's, and that kind of stuff. But also, they talked a little bit more about an upcoming Halloween episode or a Halloween special that will be exclusively on Hulu. So going back to my source here on Animation Magazine, it says here, in the Halloween special, A Little Fright Music, Brian and Stewie realized that there is a shortage of quality Halloween songs, so they set out to write a hit. And Peter and the guys discover that lying about trick-or-treating can have deadly consequences. And that is going to be premiering exclusively on Hulu on Monday, October 6th. So if you guys are excited for Family Guy, then mark your calendar for that one. And then after that, we got a big update when it comes to Critical Role. And not only did they reveal that the animated series, The Legend of Vox Machina, is going to have its 5th and final season, but on top of that, they have also revealed that there is going to be a spin-off series featuring the cast of Critical Role called The Mighty Nein. And to go and read you from my source here on Animation Magazine of what this is about, let me just go and read this little part here in which it states, The Mighty Nein follows a group of fugitive outcasts bound by secrets and scars. But when a powerful arcane relic known as the Beacon falls into dangerous hands, they must learn to work together to save the realm and stop reality itself from unraveling. And this series in particular, oh, and by the way, I should go and mention the special guest stars because they have also revealed many of the guests who are going to be involved here. So yes, of course, you got the Critical Role people that are going to be the stars of the show, including Laura Bailey, Taliesin Jaffe, I believe that's the name, Ashley Johnson, Liam O'Brien, Matthew Mercer, Marisha Ray, Sam Riegel, and Travis Willingham. But on top of that, the special guest stars that are going to be included are Mark Strong, Alan Cumming, Tim McGraw, Anika Noni Rose, Ming-Na Wen, Ali Cravallo, Raul Coley, Robbie Damon, and Jonathan Frakes. So surprisingly, we got a good amount of Disney names that are going to be featured in this series. So with that said, if you are excited for The Mighty Nein, then keep in mind that it will be premiering on Amazon Prime Video on November 19th. And finally, last but certainly not least, there was a panel that is completely dedicated to the once lost but now highly anticipated animated live action hybrid Coyote versus Acme. Yes, there was a whole panel that featured many of the people behind it and the stars as well, including Will Forte and Eric Bauza. I believe Will Forte was there as well. Yes, okay, yeah. The panel actually featured Will Forte, Eric Bauza, and Martha Kelly, in which they discuss about the challenges when it comes to Coyote versus Acme, not only the making of it, but also to go and actually bring it back after it was turned into a tax write-off by Warner Brothers. So of course there was a lot of praise to Catch Up Entertainment for the fact that they did bring it back. But on top of that, not only did they show some brand new pictures of Coyote versus Acme, including this one that you see here, which of course carries on what, like, you know, a lot of people are calling it a trope, but we might as well consider it to be the grand old tradition of a live action animation hybrid movie where there has to be one scene in which the live action stars has to be in a car with the animated character in it. So yeah, you do have that moment in which we see Will Forte, Lana Condor, and Wile E. Coyote just watching something happening in the car, which, if I may guess, something exploded happened. But on top of that, at Comic-Con, people actually got an exclusive teaser trailer of what is in store with Coyote versus Acme, actually showing clips of the feature itself, even showing a bunch of the cameos from many of the classic Looney Tunes characters. So and the ones that they have shown, of course, there's going to be Daffy Duck. I think they promised Bugs Bunny will also be there, but we also saw Foghorn Leghorn, the Tasmanian Devil, and Tweety. And chances are maybe you have also seen it as well, because that video actually did get leaked online. I don't know if it's easy to go and find it now, or I don't know if there's like copyright that was able to quickly go and take it down, but it was available to go and see. And I'll admit, I even did go and see it myself. I'm not going to go and present it here because, you know, don't want to get into too much copyright trouble. I mean, I just got out of a copyright strike. I'm not in the mood for another one. But for real though, looking into that trailer, I will say though, I was very impressed with what I have seen, especially with with all the gags that they would go and present, because they did promise a lot of crazy Looney Tunes like explosions. But the biggest thing that was revealed out of everything that was in there, the panel was a good time for everyone, but the biggest surprise was the official release date. Yes, folks, they have finally confirmed that Coyote vs. Acme will officially be released in theaters on August 28th, 2026. So we still got more than a year until it will come out, but still, it's going to be very exciting to see that that we're finally going to get a chance to see that movie on the big screen. After all the love and after all the hype that we have been hearing about, it is soon going to be time. Like, the timer has officially begun for when we are about to go and see it for ourselves. So yeah, the hype is definitely real. And with that said, that is all the highlights that I have presented here from this year's Comic-Con. And with that said and done, now it is time that I would like to go and pass this on to you, chat wall. And I want to ask you all, what was your biggest highlight at this year's Comic-Con? Was it the ones that I have mentioned here on my list that I have? Or is there something that you want to also bring up that I haven't yet that was a big highlight for you at this year's Comic-Con? Let me know what you all think on that. All right, so let's see what people have to say now. I have no comment about the Avatar show outside of Perry the Avatar and that Rick and Morty spinoff, but the ones I am the most excited for is Has-Been Hotel Season 2 coming out in October, the release date for Coyote vs. Acme on August 28th, 2026, and that one Phineas and Ferb clip where we saw the main characters become Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Oh, is it another case of like the attack of the pharmacist where everybody like suddenly just transforms into Doofenshmirtz and go like, lots of me? Okay, I haven't seen the clip myself, of course, but anyways, let's see. There were definitely some very good announcements from Comic-Con, and for me, I'm the most excited for is Avatar 7 Havens and especially Coyote vs. Acme. After everything that movie went through to get released, it was insane, and not to mention, the panel was a lot of fun to watch. Also, will you do a review of Coyote vs. Acme when it comes out next year? Are you freaking kidding, dude? Of course I'm planning on reviewing it. In fact, hopefully I will have the time next year to do more than one video about Coyote versus Acme, because let's just say that the history is very fascinating to look into. So that's just a little something to look forward for next year, just to give you a heads up. All right, anyways, let's see now. We've definitely been getting lots of goodies from what's to come in animation this year onward, but my most anticipated ones were Hell of a Boss Season 3 and Has Been Hotel Season 2 coming to Prime Video in both September and October respectively. You have no idea how long I waited for both to come back. I am beyond thrilled to see those Hell Demons coming back. It's going to be an effing good time. Also, John Cena squeezing Tweety Bird is hilarious. Oh yeah, that is true. There is that part. Let's see. Avatar 7 Havens, awesome. Can't wait. Ianu, still gotta watch the original. Critical Role, still gotta watch the original. Which original? The Legend of Vox Machina or Critical Role itself? Also, lots of princess guest stars from Ming-Na Wen and lots of guest stars for the Mighty Nein. For a second, I thought like you misspelled Ming-Na Wen for some reason. Anyways, Coyote versus Acme, that's lovely. Granted, I feel like people will be disappointed that it wouldn't meet their expectations. I mean, maybe there is that possibility, and I will admit that I did feel a little bit that way with The Day the Earth Blew Up. I mean, I thought it was a great movie, but did it meet up to the hype that is like one of the best things to happen in animation? For me personally, I would say no, but it was still a great time. And honestly, maybe the same thing could happen with Coyote versus Acme. I'll be hearing a lot of the hype, and maybe it won't meet up to it, but but I am hoping that it will at least still be a good time. All right, let's see what other comments are there. Ketchup Entertainment is our Superman, guys. I am so glad that Looney Tunes fans were happy that the movie is not a tax write-off anymore from that disgusting David guy. And also, it's funny that the Coyote himself also makes an appearance in the panel. Also, if Warner Brothers and Discovery split up, that means that David Zaslav, I think that's how you write his name, soon is not going to be a part of Warner Brothers anymore. Are you sure about that? Because from what I've read or from what I've heard, I think David Zaslav is still going to be staying in the Warner Brothers department. I would honestly be shocked if Zaslav would step down from that in favor of just being the head of the global network, the one that is going to be the Discovery part of the company. But nah, I think David Zaslav will unfortunately still be the head of Warner Brothers. Let's see now. What other comments would be to go and read? My big highlight is Coyote versus Acme, since I have been waiting for it since the announcement from 2018. To be honest, this is my introduction to these highlights, as I haven't bothered to check out since I was hoping to go around the con around the days. Yet I am still glad for what Coyote versus Acme has finally come, especially with the release date. Can't wait to see it at last when it finally comes out. Like, seriously, James Gunn is the producer. I want to see what his take on the Looney Tunes will be like. Oh, trust me, I am excited as well for that. And oh boy, already we got a new fish right over here. So you know what? I think that is going to be the perfect conclusion for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you all so much for joining me on this, and boy, was this a wild ride. And hopefully we will go and keep the momentum with more episodes to come. And also, I just want to go and say that if you guys want to go and check out more AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel and the AniMat Live Twitch channel. But at the same time, if you are listening to me on whatever podcast service you're listening to, don't forget to go and follow me there, whether it be on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and more. And with that said, folks, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And of course, until next time, see you later, dudes.